everybody. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Blazer Victory Podcast. John Duncan here. And of course, I'm joined as always with both my co hosts, Darian Smith and Jimmy Marion. And we've got a loaded episode for you today. But first, YouTube. We are currently, as we record, 197 subscribers. So we just need 3 subscribers to hit to the 200. So please, if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever, Podbean, click the link in your show description and just subscribe to the YouTube podcast, to the video podcast. That helps us out a lot. Plus, I'm wearing a new hat. If it sucks, let me know. But hey, feeling fresh in it, so you can check that out on YouTube. And also, we'll work on doing more visuals. Like today, we're going over the UAB football schedule. Hopefully, we'll be able to incorporate a visual to go over the schedule. So definitely at Blazer Pod on YouTube, help us get over 200 subscribers. But this episode of the Blazer Victory Podcast is brought to you by Cahaba Brewing Company. And shout out, we teased it last time, but Cahaba has officially announced their new beer, and it's going to be one of their core beers, the River Haze Hazy IPA. It's, I can't wait to get down to the tap room this weekend to try that beer. The description is citrus and floral notes on this hazy IPA, and it's only 6%, 6.2% ABV. So go down to the tap room today or later this week to get you either a pint to try this new beer or get you a 6-pack to go. But regardless, let them know that you heard about the Cahaba Brewing Company on the Blazer Victory Podcast. But if you can't make it down to the tap room, I believe later this week or early next week, you will be seeing the River Haze Hazy IPA in the store. So shout out again to Cahaba for being so great to us. And congratulations on the new beer. Definitely can't wait to give that a taste. But guys, before we start discussing season expectations for this 2024 UAB football program, there have been some staffing updates. Last week on the Patreon, we kind of talked about it right before the 4th of July. But we felt we needed to go on the free show as well to shout out Matt McCants on officially becoming the offensive line coach here at UAB. And Darian, I know you've got a great relationship with Matt. And I know you shared some thoughts last week, but what does that mean when you hear Matt McCants is officially on staff as the offensive line coach at UAB?
Yeah, I had shared a lot of thoughts on the Patreon, so about that. So y'all make sure to go sign up for that Blazer Pod Patreon. It's only $5 a month. I'm gonna go ahead and run through that real quick. It's only $5 a month, man. Come on, your food costs more than that today. You went and got breakfast, and it was probably $8.
Exactly. And real quick, if you want to save 10%, save a percentage off, you can sign up for a year membership and save 10% off. So basically giving you a free month. And hey, we've been doing this for over a year now. We're here to stay. Blazer Victory Podcast, we've been doing it, 4 or 5 years now. The Patreon, we've been doing it for over a year. We are here to stay. This is what we love. We're passionate. But go to patreon.com/blazerpod and get exclusive content, exclusive episodes each and every month.
Yep. John, I just threw a oop, and John just came through like Blake Griffin really quick, and boom, he came through like Yaxel Lindenborg. But but yeah, so y'all make sure y'all go check that out, run that up for us. We greatly appreciate it. I think we're inflation fighters, right? We're not going up on prices. We are true economists, truest here. We're not gonna tax the people that we love here. So just $5 a month, but yeah, Matt is my guy. I shared these thoughts. He's a genuine, authentic person, and I love the thing about him is he's so passionate. He's probably the most passionate human being I know, and I'm being totally honest when I say that. I'm not trying to just give compliments. He is the most passionate guy that I know. So I know he loved his job. He loves UAB. He loved being a Blazer, and I know how much he's going to put into those kids. I know how much he and his family really love those kids, and they want the best for him. Even in my private conversations with him, he talk about how much he want to help these kids out, and how much he just care for the job, and he individually wants the best for each and every one of them. Like, as a human, he wants them to grow. He wants them to reach their dreams. He wants to try to get them all to the league, right? And just try to help them be the best person they can be. So I know for a fact, no matter what anybody says or what results may show on the field or whatever, I know for a fact that for this job, I think Trent and the staff found the best person possible for this job at UAB. I think Matt is 100%. I'm ecstatic about it, and I know how important position coaches are. So if you are not familiar, a lot of people focus on head coaches, but the position coach is the one that you, as a player, you spend most of your time with. That's the one that's going to get on to you when you're not going to class. That's the one you're going to be in film room with. That's the one that'll come around in the weight room to check and make sure you hit your marks. That's the one that's, a lot of times you're going to have a lot of real genuine conversations with if something is going on with your family. So that is the one that you're going to be with. So position coaches are extremely important. I'm just happy that we not only got a good coach with NFL experience, but a good human being thoroughly.
Yeah, 100% agree. Jimmy, just what's your just initial thoughts on Matt McCants becoming the offensive line coach?
Yeah, I'm excited for everybody involved, beginning with Matt and, also trending over to the offensive line, the rest of the team, for all the reasons that Darian stated. Matt McCants, and my very limited interactions with him, has always been very friendly. When I've seen him on the road, traveling to Murfreesboro for the championship game, ran to him at a convenience station, ran to him at a local restaurant bar here, Marty's GM once. He said hello. So he's always been very friendly, someone that's played in the NFL, someone that's got the character that he's got. Is going to be monumental for the development of these guys, not just on the field, but off the field. So very excited for that aspect of it as well. And just look at the guys, not just the fact he went to the NFL, that speaks in and of itself, but he's also someone that came to UAB as a volunteer coach and has worked himself up to a position coach. So he's put in the work. So just ecstatic for him, and really excited to see what he's able to shape and mold for this offensive line going into this season.
Yeah, shout out Matt McCants. Hey, proud of you. He's a Blazer through and through. Super excited to have him officially be the offensive line coach. Darian, let me throw it back to you because there are some other staff changes that have happened recently or happening. Can you give just the listeners just a quick rundown of some of those changes that have been made?
Yeah, well, it's just more so of like pointing out that there is a lot of sought out talent on this staff, right? So you got guys like Alex Mortensen, who's been rumored to turn down a couple of Power 5 jobs. As far as I believe it's like the director of video, like Chris Robb. I've heard that he's turned down multiple Power 5 jobs. And, you got Eddie Gordon that went to the Packers, and Connor Cock also went to the Packers. Jason Jones, Florida. Let's see. I got this whole list right here. Florida S&C. You got Walt Hill that went to Kentucky for video. You got Ryan Nicholson, who's with the Falcons equipment. We talked about Abby Brunson that went to UCF. You have Brian Novick that went to LMU.
Yeah, ULM. Yeah.
And Ernest Hill.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of ULM, yeah.
No, LMU as the defensive coordinator, not ULM. Yeah.
That's where he's at. Ernest Hill and those guys, they followed Brian Vincent to Louisiana Monroe.
Louisiana Monroe?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I wonder why it's labeled as LMU. I guess people just say it differently, because I got a lot of LMU on my list.
Bro, to be honest, I hadn't heard anything about Louisiana Monroe until this past off season. So
I thought it was ULM. Is it LMU or ULM?
No, it's ULM. Yeah, University of Louisiana Monroe.
Yeah. So, and I hope I'm saying this last name wrong. I know this guy, and we follow each other. But is it Taylor Dupuis or Dupuy?
Dupuy.
You know who I'm talking about? I don't know how to say that name. So ULM also to work with the quarterbacks. And then you got, this is another tough one. Michael Ataya. Okay. And also went to ULM as a video director. And you have Branson Davis that went to Arkansas. And it's just another quick note. It's like we got 4 Bill Walsh fellowships on the staff, which is pretty cool. You got C.J. Cox with the Rams and Jalen Harris with the Packers and Trevor Browder with the Titans and Danny Mitchell with the Bucks. Mm-hmm. I just thought it was pretty cool that we have all of these coaches, right? Of course, I got sent this list. That's why I'm confused about LMU and ULM. But I just think it's cool that we have these coaches with so much experience in different. So it was a new staff that was brought together, right? But It's cool to see how this staff is highly regarded, by others around. So I think that'll make it a attractive job, right? If you can come to, what I would like is for UAB to be able to pay more, right? To keep more guys, but it's also attractive if you know that you can come to UAB and you can be here for a little while and get some good experience, and then the connections around you could just send you to the place that you want to be. So that, I think that's a real attractive, and hopefully we can get guys here that can be like, I hope this is like a final stepping stone type of job, right? Because let's be honest, like no matter where you go, you're gonna always want to move up in the world. And I hate that it has to be like this, but they're gonna reach for those Power 5 jobs, and we hate that, right? But I would rather this be like the final spot you go to before you get to that spot, not just the go here, go here, go here. So it'll make it highly attractive. You get some really good minds in here. And I think that's a reflection of what people think about Trent as well. You got to have this job. Coaching is all about connections. Talent is useful, but you have to know people, and people obviously believe in Trent, and they think that they can get to places with his connections, and it's proving to be true. You can even get to the NFL. If I know I can get to the NFL with the landscape of college football as a coach, guess where I'm going? I'm going to UAB, right? So I think that's a great thing, and hopefully we can keep on stacking up the talent here and on the coaching staff, video staff, wherever it's at, we can stack up that experience and we can build something special.
Yeah, 100% agree, Darian. And that's just another thing. Like it's hard as a G5, especially with the money that these Power 5, Power 4, whatever you want to call it, schools or programs keep getting. So it's going to be tough. But that's another reason why UAB needs to get its NIL situation a lot better, and hopefully we're moving towards that. But it's just life as a G5. But
what was the school that I know is coming down the line, but wasn't a certain school that did the privatized kind of thing already, to where Trent predicted that people were going to come in and start basically being owners of teams in a sense. I think SMU pays every athlete, right? Right, but I thought it was a team like I don't want to say Liberty. I thought it was a G5 that already was kind of in talks with one of those rich guy, one of those guys with deep pockets. I have to go back and look at that article that was already in talks, and they were already exploring ways to kind of start making that happen. So maybe we are going down that route. Probably start with G5s. I wouldn't be surprised if we do. I'm not really sure how this looks. I'm not really sure about amateurism status and pro status and how all of this stuff will go to NCAA. But I think next year the landscape might look different. So money wise, I'm guessing that'll be a good thing for G5 programs. I just hope that the division between G5 and P4, whatever it is now, I just hope that we get some clarity on all this. This stuff is getting kind of confusing to keep up with and a headache, and I think it's tough for fans.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, I think it is coming. I mean, you're going to start to see within the next few years, like, say, a Memphis forget the Memphis logo on midfield. We're going to have a FedEx at the 50-yard line logo. I mean, the G5, they're going to have to be creative because the SEC is not going to do that. They've got all the money in the world for their media rights package that they signed with ESPN, and same with the Big Ten and Fox, whatnot. But G5s are certainly going to have to be creative, whether that's with the actual field on putting logos on field, or whether it's jerseys. Will UAB wear a protective patch on their jerseys, or a local business? And it's unfortunately
I wouldn't care.
No,
I would if it's gonna get us money, man.
Now, bro,
as long as it doesn't say,
as long as the uniform doesn't say like protective or whatever, I still want the UAB, but you can put all the freaking patches that you want, like on the back, the butt, like whatever. Hey, man, just put them anywhere, But hey, that's where we're trending.
The WNBA, the NBA has already done that, right? They've already been in here. I wouldn't. Nah, you might be going to slippery slopes there. I wouldn't be surprised if sports betting get involved in this somehow, some way. Right. I feel like we're going off into a whole nother pod. And I'm cool with this because this is an interesting topic, but I know we probably need to stay. So we found out we got another pod right here. So listeners, let us know. Do y'all want us to continue to keep going down this path? Because I think this is an interesting, as we explore, this is an interesting conversation. So y'all let us know. I want to keep going down it. So we'll do more research on that.
100%. But we definitely do need to stick at the task at hand, and that's UAB football 2024 season expectations. And let's get the schedule pulled up. Hopefully on YouTube, you guys can see it. Darren and Jimmy, can y'all see it? Okay,
so
perfect.
So
pretty. And shout out UABsports.com. This is the official UAB site. 50 days from today, UAB kicks it off at home against Alcorn State. Guys, well, before we get into that, so the season win total right now, I'm looking on Google, is 6.5. So think about, like, can UAB get over that 6.5 win total for this year? Guys, we're all three going to say win-loss per opponent. All right, so, I think we're all in agreement. Alcorn State, win?
Yes, let's go. W.
Shout out to the guys that set the lines, man. 6.5 is such a perfect. It's such a good. I don't know how they. It's like they're in tune with. That's a good line.
Mm-hmm,
but win on Alcorn State.
Week 2, the trip to Monroe, to LMU, ULM, whatever the hell we want to call it. Hopefully, it's an L next to ULM's name for them on their schedule. But yeah, September 7th, Bryant Vincent, Trent Dilfer in Monroe, Louisiana. Win or loss, Darian?
I think this game would be trickier than people just look on paper. I think ULM has the ability to become a Texas State-like team, but we know, I don't think their offense, and I'm not throwing any shots, but I don't think their offense will be enough to keep up with ours. So I do like their defense based on who they brought in, but they have to bring it all together. But with that being said, I think we take the win.
Jimmy, what you say?
Yeah, it's kind of like that battle between the heart and the head, because you go back to that week 2, the week 2 woes for UAB since the return, and UAB has not won a week 2 game. I've traveled to many of them, so I've been there in person at Ball State or at Coastal Carolina. The fans can rest assured I'm not going to go to Monroe, Louisiana, so y'all can feel all right about that. We know Bryant Vincent teams. We know the formula. We know they're going to be physical with the lines of scrimmage. Not quite sure what they look like at the skill position. They went out and got them a quarterback recently that I'm sure they're excited about, a transfer. So I do believe it's going to be a difficult game. I think there's going to be a lot of motivation you've got, as we mentioned, former staff members, former players. It could be, if Darian's right about the possibility of a Texas State, this would be the step in the right direction for them to give them momentum that they knocked off an AAC team. It'd be a lot of momentum. My heart says UAB. My head says Monroe, because again, UAB has not won a road game in a while. But I'll stick with my heart in this one. Say UAB pulls out a close one, gets that first road dub.
There you go. First road dub under the Trent Dilfer era will be week 2 at ULM, and just get ready to see a lot of running back action in that game. And I hope UAB is going to be ready for that.
The run defense hopefully is ready.
Yes. Week 3 at Arkansas, September 14th, 3:00. I'm gonna say loss. I mean, it is a winnable game. You know, we're looking at, you know, all the SEC previews, people saying that Arkansas's down, you know, coaches on the hot seat. You know, they had to bring in Bobby Petrino, former coach, to coach the offense. But it's just tough. I'm gonna say loss here. Darian, what you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's an SEC team. I'm not gonna act like I know a lot about Arkansas. I don't. I do know that they bring in talent. It's SEC. They bring in good talent, and I know that they lost KJ Jefferson, but I mean, I'm gonna go loss for UAB. I mean, we're still trying to prove ourselves in the AAC, right? And we gotta rely on a lot of self-improvement, especially we lost TJ Jones and losing Luke Jones to the offense. So we still have some questions to answer. I like that y'all brought up Coach Bryant's offensive game plan. We're going to see a lot of running backs. So we'll at least answer questions on what our run defense, which was our biggest letdown. We'll at least know kind of what we're about. You know, in the perfect world, we can pull off that win. But right now, let's be logical here and just say that's a loss.
Yeah, it's a really tough game. We talk about UAB history, monumental games, moments. I mean, it's been, when was the last time UAB walked into a stadium of 70, 80, 90,000 people and won against anyone? It's been quite some time. It'd be a monumental feat. I think UAB's got the power offensively, you know, if they start hot early, to kind of put a scare into Arkansas. But it's been so long since UAB's been able to go on the road and not just win, but even cover, I feel like, against a Power 5 opponent on the road. So we're fans. We're going to believe, you know, we believe that we have a chance. We're going to root like hell that UAB wins that game. That would be a monumental. It's not. I don't have as much optimism as even like the common UAB fan that UAB is going to walk in there and get a W. And I hope I'm 100% wrong.
Didn't we cover against Georgia?
No.
It was 49-21, or what was the score?
I think it was like the line was probably like 24. Mm-hmm. It might have been close.
Yeah, I thought we covered against Georgia.
Yeah, it might have been close. 49. Who's good at math? Is that 28 points?
That's 28, yeah. So I think the line was 24.5, yeah. So I don't think we covered.
Never mind, then we didn't cover against Georgia.
and then I remember a few years ago the game, the COVID year at Miami. I don't even think we covered that game either.
Yeah, I think that line was like one of our best chances because I was at the beach. I wasn't at that game, but I was at the beach watching that game, which we know John could never be at the beach, or we're going to definitely lose. But that was just a perfect scenario because Miami had no home field advantage, you know, for that particular matchup. And then you add in the COVID year. I think that was like a Thursday night game, wasn't it?
It was like on ESPN, game.
Yeah, televised game. And I think the line was maybe around like 17, and we didn't cover in that particular matchup. So it's been a little while. And that's all just more motivation. It's a new season, you know, new group of guys. Go in there and just prove everybody wrong and get a massive upset, and let's do this, you know?
And hopefully one thing about that game against Georgia is I actually felt like we went for it that time. I always felt like, and this no knock, this may have been strategic, but I always felt like we played it very vanilla in the past against any P5 type of team. It was kind of like just get out of there and don't get hurt. And it was like a very simple game plan. So like, are we trying to win? Yeah. And I'm pretty sure it's a game plan, and everything. But that's just from a fan casual eye. That's what it seemed like. But if we go in there to try to win, that's all I want. Like, I don't care about it. Pull out all the stops, reverses, whatever, throwbacks, whatever we need to try to win. We need that monumental moment.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, listeners, or you guys. I don't think UAB's won at a Power 5 opponent. It was like 03, 04. UAB was at Mississippi State, and I think that was the last time UAB won at a P5 school.
2010, us, bro. Like, was it?
Tennessee game.
Tennessee and Mississippi. People forget that Mississippi State game we had in Starkville too, and we had that game. It was close. It was we just couldn't pull it out, man. But I don't know why people can't. I remember playing in those games. I played against Florida, and for me personally, there's no massive difference. I promise you. I played against Fletcher Cox, probably one of the best defensive NFL linemen. Again, I would sit here and tell there's not a massive difference, and that's what really made me think that it has to be a depth thing. Because I'm just going against these guys, and I promise you, some of the guys I go against in practice were better. And I'm just being honest, right? So I don't get it. I don't understand, but that's just how it is, man.
It is what it is. All right, we do have to hurry. These next 3 games, we'll just sandwich them together. So that's going to be at home against Navy, September 28th. Next week, home game against Tulane, and then go to Army. Man, that is such a tough 3-game stretch. Would it be, correct me if I'm wrong, if UAB can get hopefully 2-1, I mean, hopefully 3-0, but if hopefully 2-1, but if not, give me 1-2. Just get, because Navy and Army are going to be tough, and we know how physical John Summerall's teams are. And, even though it's his first year at Tulane, Tulane's a physical team. So what are you guys thinking this 3-game stretch, Darian?
Win against Navy, loss against Tulane, loss against Army. I'm just going to be logical, and, that's what I'm going to say. But, let's just keep it short.
Jimmy?
All right. So I'm going to say right now, win versus Navy. I'm going to do another head versus heart situation. I'm going to do another head versus heart situation. So head would say, hey, Tulane coming in. They're pretty good. That would typically be an L. But that is H2's birthday.
Let's
He's
go.
going to be 1 year old. Hampton's going to be 1 year old on October 5th. And we will not lose. Wasn't it last year? We played somebody on October 5th. It was.
Was it FAU or South Florida?
It was somebody, because we talked about it. We're like, we're not going to lose on the week that Hampton was born. So right. UAB beats Tulane at Protective Stadium, and then UAB goes on the road and loses at Army.
Oh, come on, man! I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there.
Well, I don't care about that game. I don't care about that game. We winning against Tulane. Jimmy said we winning against Tulane. H2's birthday. I'm hyped up.
Let's go.
Let's go. Hey, respect the troops. We're gonna get one of those two. So hopefully, I would. Even though I'm going to Army, I would like to win the Navy game more so, just to get revenge from last year. And we'll see Army again.
I would say this: if we beat Navy and Tulane, we got a good chance of beating Army on the road. That's just how I feel. If we do that, that's just
and it ain't on Veterans Day, so that's a good
exactly.
All right, next 3 games at South Florida. Bye week. Tulsa comes to Protective Stadium, and then UConn comes to Protective Stadium. That ain't Dan Hurley. That ain't the basketball team coming. That's the football team. UConn coming. So. South Florida is going to be the toughest out of those 3, but we whooped them up last year. We whooped up on buying them last year. Could possibly go 3-0 this year, but in this series. But I do think South Florida is the more so. You could see us losing that game. But Jimmy, what are your thoughts on South Florida, Tulsa, and UConn?
Yeah, I think South Florida is going to be very tough. I know that we beat them last year, and we beat them good. This is going to be homecoming for South Florida. So something else to keep in mind. So it's going to be
disrespectful.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough environment on the road. So I say that's likely an L. But Tulsa and UConn, let's win those games. Like those are must wins. So I think on that 3-game stretch, I can easily see UAB going 2-1.
Darian?
I agree. I agree with that.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, this brings us to the last 3 games of the regular season. UAB will make the trip up to the Liberty Bowl November the 16th to take on Memphis. That is Nora Kate Duncan's birthday, my daughter's birthday. So we ain't going to lose to Memphis on her birthday, and we're going. And then Rice comes to town. Rice, man, it's just and then UAB will finish at Charlotte. So
Senior Day versus Rice.
Let's go. Darian, what are your thoughts on those 3 last regular season games?
I think we go 2-1.
Okay.
And I think we beat Memphis.
Let's go. I'll take that. Hey,
I would never. I'm telling you, I know it's head hard, but listen, I'll never say we're gonna lose to Memphis. I'm biased. I don't like them. But we got to prove something against Rice. Rice, bro, like I don't get it. I don't get it, and I really want to win against. It's gonna be at Protective. Everything says we should win that game, but until we win that game, I'm tired of saying that we are gonna win that game. Mm-hmm. So they don't have McCaffrey there anymore.
They got their QB. They stole their QB from Temple.
Yeah, they got our boy EJ Warner. Really high on him. Something about Rice, man. Until we get over it's like Rice in week 2. Rice in week 2 are the things. So hopefully we dispel both of those curses this year.
Man, I'd say the last 3, I'd go 1-2 overall. I think they lose at Memphis, and then I would say they lose one of Rice or Charlotte for the different reasons. Rice, as Darian stated. I hope that UAB is able to go and win multiple road games this year, but I already got UAB winning in week 2 against Louisiana Monroe. Charlotte should be a team that we can beat on the road. You remember the last time we played at Charlotte?
Yes, an overtime, like a crap game, and UAB lost. Like I think Charlotte hadn't won in like 2 years or something. Like it was crazy.
Yeah. It's pretty nuts. But even with that, I know we can talk about like final records here in a second. Obviously, would like for UAB to finish the season strong with 2-1 those last 3. But given the opponents and given the situation, I wouldn't be shocked to see UAB go 1-2 during that final 3-game stretch.
Definitely. And I mean, it seems like we're kind of in all 3 on the same page where we've got that, like it could be 6 wins, but it could be as many as 9. Mm-hmm. Or I mean, hell, if everything breaks right, more than that. But we seem to float in that 6 to 9 range. Darian, this is a question for you, and I'll throw it to Jimmy too to get his thoughts. What is the minimum win? How many wins does UAB have to get this season to meet expectations of year 2 in the Trent Dilfer era?
Let's pull that schedule back up real quick.
All right, hold on. Okay. You see it?
Yeah. And let's scroll back up real. We're going to go real quick.
Okay.
So, let's go. Okay.
$5 domestics. Let's go.
I was going to say.
All right, let's scroll on down.
And then Charlotte.
Yeah. I think 6 is the minimum. I think 6. Yeah. I look at, and I'm really discounting like games that I think that I know that's kind of be judged as toss-ups or we're underdogs. I'm throwing those out the way, and I'm saying that 6 games are games that I expect to win. So 6 for me.
Same. Yeah, 6. It's bowl game. Bowl game's a must. We're going to a bowl game this upcoming season, and then that's where I can see us again. I think my record, the predictions I just gave, had us finishing at 7-5. Darren, on your interview the other day on the Mean Green Show, which you had a tremendous interview with. I think you had projected 7-5 as well. So again, I can see this team, especially when you consider the possibility of a bowl game win. That's why we can easily see this team winning 7, 8, 9 games, with a win in the bowl game. So that would be 6 at a minimum.
100% agree. 6 and 6 is the bare minimum. Like anything below that, like is, I know injuries and stuff happen, but if UAB does not make it to a bowl game, we're gonna have a not fun times on the podcast. That's for sure. Yeah. But hopefully, but you see the schedule. You see, we just went through it. Of course, July the 10th. But you see the potential for 7, 8, 9 wins.
There's no game on the schedule that you look at and you say UAB cannot win. Last year, I know we could say, hey, UAB could beat Georgia. Okay. There's no game on the schedule where UAB cannot win. Arkansas, we talked about, and then even the at South Florida, at Memphis, those are extremely difficult conference games, but UAB can win those games. So that's the thing that makes this interesting, is that you don't have to look at it and say, oh, we're going against Georgia, we're playing, this crazy top 5 opponent in the country. So that provides some optimism.
Yeah, and this year I feel like we have like the most variables. We haven't. It's so many questions, right? That could go either way. I think first and foremost for any team in the nation is going to be health, but especially for us, especially like at linebacker. If our linebackers pop like we think they can, and we already have Michael Moore and Rousseau, that right there is the world's different for us. If this D line is what we think it is going into the season, especially adding another piece to it, and we'll talk about that in another time. But this D line could be if this D line is nasty like it can be, and our linebackers stay healthy, because we're kind of top heavy at that position, all of a sudden you have a different team than last year, just based off of that. So if that pops, we can easily be talking about 8 wins, right? Honestly. And if they stay healthy, but we have 1 or 2 of those linebackers go down. The D line is our offensive line, losing our left tackle, losing Luke Jones. We lost our whole left side, Will Parker. I think the guys that we brought in, or the guys that are already on the team, I think those guys were already fighting to hold on to their jobs anyway. I think Luke Jones was more solidified. But if we can't really figure that out, right, if that doesn't go well, or if we have a couple of injuries on the offensive line, all of a sudden, if Zeno goes down, all of a sudden we looking at 3-4 wins, right?
God forbid Zeno go down, but I will say, and this, 39 minutes that we're in, I've heard Kitna's look good. I've heard that Kitna is pushing Zeno, so
I'm not surprised. I mean, he did come from SEC, I'm not surprised about that.
Hey, last note I know we got to hop is I'm just trying to envision just how key that Louisiana Monroe game is. When's the last time UAB football started 2-0? If you can go on the road and be competitive with Arkansas, come home, beat Navy, you're 3-1 with Tulane coming to town for family weekend. That's the kind of momentum we want to see to start the season. You don't want to go, don't have us be at 1-2 with Navy coming in, for that second home game, because by then, honestly, people start, the general Birmingham population starts to turn their attention elsewhere. If UAB is 1-2 going into that Navy game, Navy's a good opponent. I think will help draw a crowd. But can y'all envision a very likely scenario in which UAB can start off again 3-1, competitive against Arkansas, with Tulane coming into town? You can use that crowd, that momentum to possibly start a 4-1. The Army game's a toss-up, and all of a sudden you're looking at this UAB team, and that's where you're starting to think, can this team compete for an AAC championship? And some of that optimism can start early, and that's going to be, again, there's so much pressure on that Monroe game. So excited for us to get to that point and see what's going to happen.
100%. And I do have the ULM game as the most important game on this schedule of the 2024 schedule. Of course, if we had a coach come on, they would say Alcorn, but I mean, no disrespect to Alcorn State, but that ULM game is massive, and we hope to have a watch party at Cahaba Brewing Company. We need to get together and plan that out. Hope for a big Blazer Victory podcast crowd, UAB fans. If you can't make the trip to Monroe, get in there, be loud. Hey, we're going to be loud. So good times. But that's a wrap for this episode. Hey, the free feed, we will be back after AAC Media Days to do one more episode in the month of July. And then, hey, August is game month. Going to be grinding. Offensive preview, defensive preview, special teams preview, Alcorn State preview. It's all going to start clicking like it never left. So great times ahead. Remember to drink Cahaba beer. If you're going to go down to the tap room, let them know that you heard about them on the Blazer Victory podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube, and also patreon.com/blazerpod will have great recruiting content next week. So stay tuned for that. But as always, guys, until next time, just blaze.